today's Abhignan's point, and we'll talk about Captain Amarinder Singh versus Navjot Singh Sidhu in Punjab and in the Congress. Now, we've also seen what happened in the face-off between Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot. It clearly embarrassed the central leadership of the Congress party. Now, what is very surprising for me is the timing of the entire problem and the way it has turned public, and the way there are meetings in Delhi, and the way, of course, the Congress has been forced to form a committee to solve these issues. But is this the time for it? This was the time that Congress needed to look more cohesive, more cooperative, more organized in being an aggressive opposition, asking questions, because a lot of time this question is asked, where is the opposition in this country? These are corona times, the agendas are completely different. A lot of right issues have also been raised by the Congress party, which of course is expected from the Congress party, which has been in power for so many years in the country. But in the middle of all this, there is the dramatic Navjot Singh Sidhu episode. Navjot Singh Sidhu, who's very well and widely known for his dramatic politics, his dramatic political stance. He's been very upset with the BJP in the past. In fact, when he was given the Rajya Sabha, he actually gave up the Rajya Sabha, and then just before the elections came to the Congress party. Now, all this drama that Sidhu has unfolded in his political life from the BJP to the Congress, was this needed right now? Couldn't the Congress leadership at the center here in Delhi anticipate that Sidhu is a player who indulges in dramatic politics, and that's how he's been? But to also make the point very clear, why has there been so much of a problem between him and Amarinder Singh? And Amarinder Singh is a very senior leader of the Congress party who brought Congress to power in the last elections in Punjab. Why couldn't he solve these problems with Navjot Singh Sidhu? Why has there been a situation of a constant conflict with Navjot Singh Sidhu? Now, these are some real issues which very clearly the Punjab Congress has not been able to address, and nor has this Congress leadership, in Delhi been able to address. As a result of which, in this hour, at this time, there is all this chaos going on, and which is completely in the media domain. Everybody is seeing that how Amarinder Singh and Navjot Singh Sidhu, there is a clear battle going on between the two, and of course there are two sides to the Congress in the state. Let me make it very blunt and clear to you. There's always sides to any political organization, whether at the center or at the state. But that is where the central leadership comes into play, how to manage the crisis, how to make sure that the crisis does not get to a level where it begins to embarrass the party. And at the moment, the crisis between Captain Amarinder Singh and Navjot Singh Sidhu is such that it's actually embarrassing the party. And there is no doubt about that with less than a year to go for elections in Punjab, instead of a clear-cut mandate on the leadership, and which of course in this case is clearly Captain Amarinder Singh. He is leading the Congress there. He's the Chief Minister. He brought the party to power in the last elections. So instead of that, there is a new player who's a former BJP person who's actually started his political career with the BJP in Punjab. And of course, I'm happy with the BJP also, later made a shift to the Congress. Now, all this while, why wasn't this sorted out? All this while, why wasn't there clear anticipation that there could be a problem that will come to this level in the Punjab Congress and in the party itself? So for me, this is really surprising. At this time, this is a corona time, this is a very serious situation one is going through. Opposition also needs to play a certain role, as we all know. It needs to ask questions. That is what democracy is all about. And when Congress needs to look solid, when Congress needs to look organized, when Congress needs to be taking on its real role as the opposition, you've got a situation where there's a government that you have in Punjab, and a clear public political conflict is going on between two leaders, and there yet seems some sort of a committee which will deal with it. But why was all this done earlier? That's my point. So there's no doubt in my mind that the timing of Captain Amarinder Singh versus Navjot Singh Sidhu, internal conflict is worse for the Congress and is clearly embarrassing the Congress central leadership here in Delhi. That's my point.